Kalen DeBoer's first season at Alabama was a huge disappointment in my opinion. Coming into this year, I felt that Alabama had enough talent that they carried over from Nick Saban to at least win 10 games, and the season didn't go anywhere as I expected it to, and it was a major disappointment. Now, I put Kalen DeBoer's disappointing first season in Tuscaloosa mainly on the shoulders of Jalen Milroe, because let's just be honest about him. He was not good. Anytime you have a quarterback that has more rushing touchdowns than he does passing, it shows you everything that you need to know about him. If you take away his legs and you force him to throw the ball, you're going to have somebody that just is an incompetent quarterback. And with Alabama having Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, and true freshman phenom Keelan Russell coming in, I easily expect for Alabama's offense to be more productive this upcoming season, now that you're going to have better quarterbacks that are more equipped to have success in this Kalen DeBoer system. And despite having a letdown of a first season, Kalen DeBoer was 4-1 against ranked teams. They still beat Georgia, LSU, South Carolina, Missouri, and their rival Auburn. The only good team they lost to was Tennessee. The problem with Kalen DeBoer is that this team didn't show up against inferior competition. They had a tendency to play down to the level of competition that they were going up against. You know, I get that Diego Pavia and Vandy had a really good season for Vanderbilt standards, but there are just certain teams that a school like Alabama should just never lose to, and Vanderbilt is one of those. Losing on the road to a really bad Oklahoma team in blowout fashion was really embarrassing. So the problem with Kalen DeBoer in year one is that Alabama fell victim to what Nick Saban loves to call the rat poison. They heard all these good things about them, all the good teams they were beating. Everybody was saying nothing but positive things about them, was boosting their heads up. And then when they got into these games against low-hanging fruit, that's when they got in trouble. And now with Kalen DeBoer entering his second season, I believe that he's going to make the necessary changes needed to get Alabama football heading in the right direction. You know, there is a lot of pressure that comes with replacing a head coach that has the pristine and the reputation that Nick Saban has, being widely considered as the greatest head coach in college football history. So there's a lot of pressure that comes with replacing somebody like that. And Kalen DeBoer had huge shoes to fill. And I still feel like the future of Alabama football under Kalen DeBoer is still really optimistic in a lot of people's eyes. I don't see a lot of people saying that they don't believe in Kalen DeBoer. And to me, with everywhere that Kalen DeBoer has been at, him being able to win multiple national championships at the NAIA level, winning at Washington, Alabama's future is in safe hands with him as the head coach. I really believe that. I still believe that he has a claim to being arguably the best head coach in college football, because I want to tell you Alabama fans this. Remember, if you zoom out on what Kalen DeBoer has done this last year, at Washington, he beat Dan Lanning twice. He beat Steve Sarkisian in the semifinals. This past season, he beat Kirby Smart. He beat Brian Kelly. He has beaten some of the best coaches in college football. The problem is that Alabama just played down to the worst teams on their schedule. So if you can go 4-1 against ranked competition, I don't really see any reason why anybody should be pessimistic about Alabama's outlook under DeBoer moving forward. And he already has kind of proved a lot of people wrong in terms of what was the biggest concern people had about him when he initially took this job in the first place was how well was he going to be able to recruit, because you got somebody who comes from the West Coast, doesn't really have a lot of ties to the South. Was he going to be able to sustain the elite level of recruiting that Alabama was able to have under Nick Saban? And he did that with flying colors, because Alabama is coming into this year with a top 5 class, and they still have one of the better rosters in college football. They didn't lose too many starters in the transfer portal. So going into the 2025 college football season, Alabama is going to be in the conversation to win it all. I thought that they would have been a lot better than what they were this past season, but in year two, that's really when you're going to see just how truly good of a coach Kalen DeBoer is. I mean, just zoom out and look at what he did against the best teams on the schedule for Alabama in 2024. Alabama got it done. He was able to somewhat elevate Jalen Milroe in those games. Now that Jalen Milroe is gone and you got rid of the baggage, because that's what Jalen Milroe was. He was baggage, man. He was just holding this team down. Now with you having quarterbacks that can more accurately throw the football, I expect for Alabama's offense to skyrocket in its production, and I expect Alabama overall as a team to look way better in 2025 than what they did last season. They should be competing for the SEC title, and they should be in a championship conversation when it comes playoff time.